The phone in your hand right now survived by one deal. If that deal never happened, its founder was betrayed, pushed out, and no one would have ever known what he would have built. Steve Jobs co-founded Apple from a garage, not as an investor, but as the architect of everything: the products, the vision, the direction. In 1983, Jobs personally recruited a senior executive from the beverage industry to serve as Apple's CEO. No technology background whatsoever. Jobs believed this man would help him scale the company. That decision would be used against him. By early 1985, the Macintosh was underperforming. An internal conflict between Jobs and the new CEO had reached the board. In April 1985, the CEO delivered an ultimatum: remove Jobs from his operational role, or he walks. The board voted. The majority sided with the CEO. Jobs was stripped of all executive authority, relocated to an office so far from the company's core, he named it himself Siberia. On September 17, 1985, Steve Jobs resigned and sold every single share he owned, all of them except one. The company he built with his own hands. He walked away from it completely. By 1996, Apple was losing $1 billion a year. Its market cap had collapsed to $2.3 billion. 90 days from bankruptcy. Then the board purchased Next Computer, the company Jobs founded after his departure, for $429 million, and Jobs came back. Now, let the betrayal succeed, let Jobs never come back, and let that next deal never happen. Watch what follows. Without the next acquisition, there is no mechanism to bring Jobs back. The 90 days run out, and Apple files for bankruptcy in 1997. The iMac, scheduled for 1998, never built. The iPod, scheduled for 2001, never built. Every product roadmap Jobs carried in his head dies with the company. Microsoft absorbs Apple's entire market share, with no real competition left standing. January 9, 2007, Steve Jobs walked onto a stage and said, "Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone." Then he held up the iPhone, but in the world where Apple went bankrupt in 1997, that stage is empty. January 9, 2007 is just an unremarkable Tuesday. The iPhone is never announced, never built, never held. And this is what no one talks about, not the market data, the moments, the alarm you dismiss every morning before you even open your eyes. That doesn't exist. The voice note you sent late at night to someone you love because you were too tired to type. Not possible. The photo you took of something small, something ordinary, and kept forever. There's no device for it. The night you couldn't sleep and opened a screen just to feel a little less alone. That screen isn't there. Where would you be without it? The video call with someone who lives far away. The one where you can actually see their face while you talk. That moment never happened. The moment you got lost in a city you didn't know, and something in your hand guided you home. Gone. What if none of that ever existed? Every single one of those moments exists because a company that was supposed to go bankrupt 10 years earlier didn't. In that parallel world, Microsoft controls the smartphone market entirely. Windows Mobile becomes the dominant operating system by default, not because it was better, but because the competitor that would have forced it to evolve was gone. Android still emerges, but slower, under less pressure, with less to fight against. Every smartphone you see today, Samsung, Google, Xiaomi, exists in a version shaped by Apple's competition. Remove Apple, and you remove the pressure that made all of them what they are. Today, the App Store generates over $138 billion every single year. Uber was built on the iPhone. Instagram was built on the iPhone. Every app-dependent business that changed how you eat, move, communicate, and consume, built on a platform that almost didn't exist. Every creator who picked up an iPhone and built an audience, gone. Every small business that runs entirely through a smartphone, gone. And this channel, if it runs on that platform, doesn't exist either. The screen you are watching this on, right now, in the world where that board vote was never reversed, is a different screen, running a different operating system, controlled by a different company. One board resolution, in 1985. That's the whole difference between the world you live in and the one that almost happened. The lesson here isn't about loyalty, it's about legal architecture. Jobs held equity. He held a board seat, but he did not hold voting control, and under Apple's corporate charter at the time, that was enough to remove him permanently, legally, cleanly, with no breach of contract. Two instruments would have changed this outcome entirely. First, a founder's agreement with board seat protection, a contractual clause requiring supermajority approval before any resolution affecting a founder's operational authority can pass. Second, a dual-class share structure, a mechanism that gives the founder disproportionate voting rights, ensuring no simple board majority can remove operational control control. No matter how much equity they hold, neither existed at Apple in 1985. Corporate ventures are never sustained by trust. They are protected by precise legal drafting. This was an educational case study on board majority voting and founder governance exposure. Welcome to the Business Governance series by khelaly Story Lessons. Protect your assets and stay ready.